Okay, water improvement.
Well, we're going to have, we've got the plans and pretty much done. The specs are almost done. I'm going to let Eric Dieters is here. Eric and I came down here last week and went over the plans with Ray, and Eric's made most of those changes. I think we're just about ready to go. We aren't quite to the point of setting a bid date tonight yet, but we would be at your next council meeting. My information, this environmental hearing was important to get out of the way. The state has to issue what's called a finding of no significant impact, FONSI. That'll be coming within the next couple weeks now after Tammy gets that stuff in. I've been in touch with the engineer down there, Michael Anderson. He says he'll review it, as soon as they get it. I mean, there's a delay a little bit in reviewing it, but I feel pretty comfortable that at your April meeting we'll be able to set a bid date for the project. So, with that, Eric, you want to?
You said April 2nd?
Is that your meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. We would set. That's the night we would set the bid date, and we would set it probably for maybe close to the last week in April, so that you could possibly award contracts at your May meeting.
Do you need a resolution to set that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, who is your bond attorney?
I would say what is it, Dorsey?
Dorsey Whitney?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's who you'll get that information from. And is it Bob Johnston or John Danos or
John?
What I'll do then, Tammy, is I'll provide him with what's called the notice of hearing and letting. It's the thing that you have to publish in the paper. I'll provide that to him in a couple weeks, and then from that he'll prepare the resolutions and get it to you for that night.
Okay.
So I don't know how much you want to see of this. You've seen it before. Does the council want to go over it, Mayor, or you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't come down here for nothing.
There you go. You can make it work.
Vince is ready for those showers on the second floor, right? You think I'm going to forget that, don't you?
You bring it up every meeting, man.
You know what?
You got a good memory.
Well, it's kind of one of those things that you just, some of those things just stick out in your mind. I got a couple of sets of these plans passed around here. Basically, these are, I would say, 95% as far as the plans are concerned. We've got the water tower position now, and about 6,000 feet, plus or minus, of pipe. So Ray and I, and Neil and Ray and I have all been, we've met a couple of times, talked about some things on it. Still have a couple of more questions for Ray, but I'm not going to bring them up. It's just basically as far as what to do with water services and what type of materials we're going to replace when we cut and patch the streets. A lot of the water line is going to be an open trench situation where they'll come in, they'll just backhoe it out, and then place the pipe in. But I've also got some of it, especially down here along South Avenue and up around Crestview and Cross Streets. We're going to do what they call a directional bore with that. Basically, there's so many trees, there's so much pavement, and just things in the area where we don't want to necessarily have to cut it all out and then replace it at the same time. Most of these lines, these plans, when I say they're 95%, 100% plans are going to be very, very close to this, but until they go out and they actually dig up the system and they start making connections and that sort of thing, we really don't know a whole lot of what the placement is on things and what it's going to take to connect to the system. It's going to be as best a guess as you can make. Does that sound right? So, I mean, Neil would know that as well as anybody else. He's done this a lot longer than I have. You just don't know what's in the ground until you get out there and dig it up. So pipeline sizes, we had talked about there on 71, that 6-inch line coming down from Church Street, and that's 2.5? The 3-inch, the one that you got that line that you had a leak out there that you had to fix?
That's 1.5 inches on the highway.
Yeah. So, that's...
I guess more than that, next to 71, or...
No, that'll be open.
That'll be open.
Yeah, we'll be putting in, as soon as we get these plans pretty much wrapped up, I'm going to put in an application to the DOT of basically being able to work in that.
That's what I was wondering, is if you're going across streets, which it looks like you would on Second and Third Street, on 71, then we're gonna have to pat, which I'm glad of actually, because it's rougher than a cob going across the intersection.
I'm gonna bore most of that, so we don't tear it.
You can't win, can you?
Couple of reasons for that. One, you're gonna disrupt a lot of the traffic flow. When that trench, boring underneath that intersection is gonna take a split second compared to what it would take to tear up the pavement.
You're not gonna kill two birds, are you?
I know some of them are real rough. So, yeah.
I got one question, like the sewer line from 5th to 6th.
We had talked about that. I don't even know if I brought that one up with you. They're looking at doing some construction out north of 6th Street there. Is that what we were talking about? And there's supposedly a sewer line that runs up close to it, a couple hundred feet down from it. I don't even know if we could even put that in with this project, simply because it's...
Probably not, unless it's repair of the sewer that you're damaging or something, if it's a whole block, I don't think you could.
Yeah, and when they get out there, they start tearing the street up and tearing up the shoulder. You don't even know if that manhole is there yet, do you? So, that's probably going to be something that would be a different project. It's going to depend on the depth on it and how far up they can run it.
We do get an easement for the right of way for the water line, right?
In the right of way of the street, of the highway?
Yes.
It'll fall within the right of way of the DOT, but it'll be the city's responsibility to maintain it.
How much easement do we have? I believe there's 10 feet between a water line, a water main.
Water main and the sewer line.
That's right.
Yeah.
So will we have a 10-foot easement there anyway?
I can't tell you because I don't know exactly what.
Yeah, I don't believe you're going to need an easement for any of the water line going along the highway. It'll all be within DOT right of way. What we did is said we're putting that nitrile or the ductile iron in, so we don't have to bore underneath the highway. We had talked about that as well. We changed back to one of the things that, it's a good thing when this came up, one of the things that we did with that existing tie-in, we had talked about going across the park and then tying in on First Street. Julie Sievers apparently has a problem with going across the park, but we're still going to be going through one of those pollution plumes from those old gas stations, the lust sites. So what we decided is we would just go back to the original alignment of it, run that line up 71 to 2nd Street and tie in there.
Run it on the east
It'll be on the east side of the highway. And then go across. That way we won't have to jack and bore underneath the highway, which can be two really big pits, and you need a carrier pipe, and it can get pretty complicated. So offsetting the cost of the jack and bore and then going through the park, it's going to pretty much be a wash as far as doing that or spending the money for the ductile iron. And that's going to be the only place that you're going to need it. All the other places in town are just going to be the PVC. So thanks for bringing that up. I'd almost forgotten that we had switched that back.
Yeah.
So looking through these, if you guys have any questions on any of this, obviously Ray is going to know an awful lot about it. I'm always available. Just give me a call at the office if you've got any questions. But the alignments are all set. I'm staying as far away from the existing utilities, the known existing utilities as we can. Any of the sewer lines, that sort of thing. Obviously, we're not going to know what's there again until we dig the ground up. There may need to be some changes, as we're constructing it, but I'm not foreseeing too many of them, if any at all. Any questions?
You might show them the tower sheet.
The color of the tower.
Well, I forgot the picture.
You forgot the picture.
But show them the last sheet, which is,
the second to the last sheet,
okay.
the number D01. This is the water tower site, up by the church. And then next to it there on the right is a drawing of the water tower with the heights. You know, it's going to be up in the air. Down on the lower left there, Neil and I had talked about this, basically the painting scheme on the water tower.
Now, this isn't anything that's set in stone yet. Yeah, in fact, you don't even really have to pick the colors until after you have a contractor and we get shot plans. But the typical towers over the past 20 years have been painted white. And there's been a problem with those towers under the belly. In the summer you get condensation. The condensation runs down and it's shaded underneath there, so mildew shows and you get black spots on there. So it's been kind of a thing lately to go to dark colors underneath that bowl. Well, Alta just recently repainted their tower and they've got it white up on top and blue down all the way down the stem. Does anybody travel through Kingsley? Do you travel through Kingsley, Jeff? No. You don't go that direction. Kingsley has one of the nicest looking towers in this part of the state. And it's a darker blue on the top and bottom of the shell with the name Kingsley, you know, in the middle here, and then a white stem. And I really think that looks nice. You don't have to paint this all the way blue down here because that mildew really stays right, you know, under there. Yeah. The mildew is still going to be there. You can't, there's nothing you can do about it, but it won't show up as much. And I was going to bring a picture of that Kingsley one down tonight, and I ran off without it. So at your next meeting, if I'm here or Eric's here, we'll show that to you. But you don't have to make that decision. We just have to show something in the plans.
Well, I've noticed that in some of those that I've been looking at here that are going to be similar looking, maybe bigger, but did Sac City have some problems with that?
Yeah, Sac City's now got the bottom bowl of it is all blue.
Yeah.
I can't remember if they have any blue up on top. I look at it every day.
Well, this is going to be a tower that's going to be seen very, very clearly from that new Highway 20 up there. And I don't know if anybody gets through Kingsley, but I'll bring the pictures the next time so you can see it. But I didn't happen to do that tower in Kingsley, but I just think it's one of the better looking ones around the area.
So, okay, you got the elevation of
the high water elevation there is
254.
Yeah, about 140 feet off the ground to the high water, a little bit higher than the top.
That is going to cause us one problem, and that is with your well pumps. Ray pulled out the information on the two well pumps. The information you pulled out on the east one is only the motor. You know, it doesn't tell me the capacity or anything, so I still haven't found that out yet.
We don't have anything. That's all we've got.
That's all you got. But the one on the south, he gave me a curve and Cohoy pump inspected it. It's got, I think it's going to be okay. It's got a high enough head and a capacity. In fact, Ray throttles it down now so it doesn't put out too much water. I think it's going to be okay. But we probably will have to replace the one out here. It's got a 7.5 horse. We'll probably have to put a 10 in that one, just like we have in the south.
Those are submersibles?
Yeah. Right.
And Cohoy pump, I know them very well. I just haven't had a chance to call them yet since we were down here, but I'll find out about that. And the controls, at the present time, well, we talked last week also, we're just planning to move your controls from the old water tower up to the new one because we understand they're not very old, and there is another alternative to it. You have a telephone line now. That's the way it's been. We'll just have to hook a telephone line up there. And the other way of going is going to radio signals, but that gets kind of spendy right now, and you probably don't want to do that. So as long as you've got a good system that works right, I think you just move that up there.
And we were going to have a generator up there. Is that right?
Somehow we're going to have, if nothing else.
Will that be next to the
and probably
base?
Up there, it'll probably be just a portable generator.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then we'll have a different generator at the shop to run one well.
Okay.
What do you need a generator up there?
Well, when the power goes out, the control up there won't work.
Oh.
This is a good point. I guess.
I will have to look into that a little bit, because there should be battery backups for those things. You know, if you lose power though for several days, well, that's where you got a problem.
Right.
Okay.
Usually that's,
That's what happens. Okay.
Anything else? I can't.
No?
really
Oh,
go on.
our specification, this is, I've got it started. This is just the originals right now. We have a little bit more to add to it, but not a whole lot. And at your next meeting, we'll have this bound and everything ready to go. Jeff can read it at night.
You'll have them memorized.
How many more places could there be what we expect a 6-inch main to be a 1.5-inch line? Worst case scenario, how many more of those could we find?
I think after we get done here, it's gonna be, our loops will all be done.
Yeah, we are pretty sure that
Yep, yeah.
that's the last one.
Well, there's a couple, but there's also 6-inch mains beside them,
Okay.
so it's done.
Oh, okay, sure. What about up to Church Street? Is that 6? Is there a fire hydrant up there close to the church?
That's a 3-inch going that
That's
direction.
3 inch.
Yeah, the 3-inch going through, over or down Church Street. I thought, isn't there a fire hydrant right there?
Right.
So that would be at least a 4, probably a 6.
I think it's 3.
On the fire hydrant?
Well, the fire hydrant's probably a 4-inch fire hydrant.
Mm-hmm.
But the main feeding it.
It's 3.
It's 3.
Okay.
It's like that plant.
We were going to talk about the easement up there at the water tower
Construction
site.
easement.
When you bought that property, what kind of arrangement did you make for during the construction period?
We haven't actually purchased the property.
Okay,
I've contacted the lawyer, I think it was February 17th, and then I re-emailed him on the 28th to get together with him to come up with something.
okay.
But we need a construction easement on that.
Really, you know what,
Yeah.
and it's not for a very long period of time, but when the contractor's erecting that, what they will do with this kind of a tower is they will make this whole bowl on the ground. And then they'll bring a big crane like they have over at Rockwell City, those kind of things. They'll bring a big crane in there to lift that whole thing up. But for a period of time, you know, for a week or two, they'll be welding on the ground and stuff like that. So there needs to be a construction easement through there to allow the contractor to use that. I don't think it would interfere with Sunday church services and stuff like that, you know, because they won't be working then or anything like that. But just, you know, I mean, there needs to be some wording in there that construction activities can take place on there.
Okay,
Okay?
when I talk to him about that.
And if they want to talk to us, if they need some wording or something,
Okay.
who is your attorney?
Yeah.
It's Chuck Schulte.
Okay.
And I've also got on the, we're centered on that water line, I think we talked about it before, just that 10-foot easement on it. So you can get in and out if you need to pull any maintenance on the water line itself. You use it for access to the tower, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to drive through the parking
So
lot.
from the tower to the street.
Right. So just basically centered on where that water line is going to come off the property.
I wonder if we don't need, have you had a survey, Tammy? Has there been a, you know, a survey plat made of that site? Do you know?
I don't think so.
I think that probably ought to be done,
Yeah.
then would show the easement on there.
Okay.
Our surveyors can do that if you want us to, unless you want somebody else to do that.
Well, you know where the base of it is going to be and what we're purchasing.
You know, our normal surveys are included in the contract, but property surveys are not, so there'd be a little extra cost, but it isn't going to be that
Well,
much.
I'd rather have the survey, I know that's been recorded.
Yeah, I think that's what needs to be done, yeah, okay.
Put the water tower up.
Yeah. 6 feet.
Sorry, we still own that property.
Our water tower.
I hate to have to sell a water tower on sheriff's sale.
Yeah.
What would you do with it?
Scrap it.
Scrap a lot of
Get a big driver.
Well, we got a big sheriff's sale coming up in Storm Lake there in a few weeks, so that big condo development up there is going to sheriff's sale.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be,
Is that on Seneca, you mean? Or-
No, those condos out there by the golf course.
By Kings Point.
That's gonna go on a sheriff's sale?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
What was the name of the company in Des Moines? Regency, I think, that started in Monday.
There you go.
I don't think you can afford to buy off the liens on it.
I'm seeing nothing I'm going to do. Stay away from them.
Anything else? Any questions?
Anybody else, questions?
Well, we'll see you at your next meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, you guys. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Neil.
Yep.